Okay. Afternoon, everyone. I'm back with another New at the Library. I've got a card here full of new books for you to check out. So let's start with fiction. We're going to start with Out of the Embers, which is book one in a new series by Amanda Cabot. She's an inspirational author. This is set in Texas during the 1850s. It's the story of Evelyn and Wyatt. There's some suspense, some romance, some intrigue, a little bit of everything for everyone. Next, we have The Mutations. Ramon is many things, but most of them have been taken away from him as he has cancer of the tongue and can no longer speak. This features a modern Mexican family, some comedy, and a lot of story in a relatively small book. Then we have Lost Hills. Lost Hills. I grabbed the wrong book. Eve is the youngest female homicide detective in Los Angeles' Sheriff's Department, and her colleagues feel she has a lot to prove. She'll get her chance soon in a missing person case, including a missing family and a murder scene with no bodies. Lee Goldberg should be relatively familiar to you if you are into thriller, suspense. James Patterson, Lee Childs, Lee Goldberg should be one of those names also. Now we can talk about Miss Jocelyn. Veiled in Smoke is book one in a new series by Jocelyn Green, again an inspirational author. It's called the Windy City series, so it's based in Chicago during the Great Fire. Meg and Sylvie help run the family bookshop and care for their father, who is a Civil War vet. After the fire devastates the bookshop and their father is accused of murder, they must find a way to clear his name. Then we have Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. She's the author of Himself. This is set in Victorian London. It's mystery, intrigues, Bridie Devine, and she's on the case of the kidnapping of a secret child who may have intriguing powers. So a little bit fantasy, a little bit historical, a little bit mystery. It should be a very interesting read. Next, we have The Glass Hotel. This is by Emily St. John Mandel, who was the award winner for Station 11, that book. Story includes many characters whose lives are affected by greed, crisis, survival, love, and consequences, all of this based around a Ponzi scheme and a disappearance of a person at sea. We have Friends and Strangers by J. Courtney Sullivan. It's a friendship story of two women from different stages and walks of life. Elizabeth is a journalist and a new mother and taking care of her in-laws and becomes lost in her day-to-day. Sam is a college student who becomes Elizabeth's babysitter and later her friend. When Sam befriends Elizabeth's father-in-law, things kind of unravel a bit, and you get to see a little bit more of the story from that aspect. And then I have Lakeshire Park. So Amelia wants to secure a future for her sister in the form of Sir Ronald, who's the owner of Lakeshire Park. But unfortunately, Peter has the same plans for his sister. So shenanigans and romance obviously ensue. All right, so that's it for my fiction, but we're gonna hop over to large print. And I always want to take the time to remind people, if you can't find the book that you're looking for in regular print, give large print a chance. Honestly, the type's a little bit bigger. It's gonna be good on your eyes. No shame in the large print game. Karen Kingsbury's new book, 2 Weeks. It's the next novel in the Baxter family series, and this one is about Cole Blake and his unexpected and unpredictable romance with Elise. Susan Mallory has a new book out. This one's called California Girls. It's about Finola, Zenny, and Allie, who are sisters forced to restart and rebuild their lives together. If you're a Westerns fan, Robert Knott has written a new book for the Robert Parker series. This one is called Buckskin. It's based in Appaloosa during the Gold Rush era. A fight between two local businessmen escalates violence in town, and Virgil Cole and Everett Hitch are the two lawmen tasked to set things right. My last large print I have here is Amanda Quick. So this is Tightrope, Amelie. I can't even read my own notes. That's not good. Amelie is a former trapeze artist whose first guest at her B&B is murdered. Enter Matthias, who finds his attention torn between his hunt for a cipher machine and Amalia's predicament. All right. Let's try some books on TV, shall we? Good Girls Lie by J.T. Ellison. The Goad School in Virginia is a prep school for girls, complete with secret societies, a murdered student, and lies as thick as ivy on the walls. It says for fans of Paula Hawkins, A.S.A. Harrison, Mary Kubica, and Karen Slaughter. Emily Giffen's new book, The Ties That Bind. Just as Cecily decides she's made a mistake breaking up with her boyfriend, a stranger changes her mind. Grant and Cecily form an instant bond, but in the aftermath of 9/11, secrets are revealed and Cecily must search out the truth. The Other Misses is by Mary Kubica. What would you do if your new neighbor is found murdered? Will and Sadie are about to find out. Their new home, which is eerie, and their troubled niece are not aiding the situation. Sadie becomes intrigued by their neighbor's story and uncovers more than just a history. The Henna Artist is set in 1950s India. This is by Alka Joshi. It's the story of Lakshmi, who escapes an abusive marriage and is the henna artist and keeper of secrets for the wealthy women of the city. But when Lakshmi's husband finds her with her sister in tow, she struggles to maintain the life she's built for herself. Andrew David MacDonald's When We Were Vikings. Zelda loves Vikings and her older brother Gert, who she lives with. When she finds out Gert is having to resort to some less than acceptable means to make ends meet, she decides to launch a legendary Viking quest of her own. Karen Roberts, The Black Swan of Paris. Genevieve is an unwilling darling to the Nazis in 1944 Paris, but she's determined to save her mother's life in occupied France. A couple of historical authors this time around in our book on CDs. We also have Jeff Shara's new series Start, To Wake the Giant, which is set in 1941 at Pearl Harbor. The story is told with multiple characters and a diverse amount of voices with all of the traditional historical storytelling detail you really come to expect from Jeff Shara. Now my last audiobook here is called Big Summer. It's by Jennifer Weiner. Daphne and Drew's friendship ended 6 years ago, but that doesn't stop Drew from asking Daphne for a favor. They've developed their lives separately from each other, and now it's time to see if they can make space for each other again. All right, and then we're going to move on into the nonfiction here. I've got the official ACT prep guide. With school starting back up in the fall, you definitely have students getting prepared to take some standardized testing. The library is a great place to pick up some testing books. A couple more nonfiction here. We have The Clutter Remedy, a guide to getting organized for those who love their stuff by Marla Stone. There's still a lot of people, I think, sorting through and minimizing their household. So this is a great approach to creating neat and tidy spaces. It's a relatively easy read. Maybe some helpful tips in there too. We have Hannah Ross's Revolutions, How Women Changed the World on Two Wheels, which is the story of bicycle culture and cycling and the history of women cycling, which is really, really intriguing. We have a biography, Once More to the Rodeo. I guess it's a memoir by Calvin Hennick. So Calvin is a white man trying to teach his biracial son how to be a black man in America. And what does that even mean anymore? So they take a road trip from Boston all the way to Calvin's hometown in Iowa. And then finally, I have a DVD, Richard Jewell. This is the story of the security guard who discovered the bomb at the 1996 Atlanta Games, and then what happened in the aftermath of that. Thank you guys for stopping by today. I'm so glad I got the chance to show you some of the new items here at the library. Don't forget that you can always find these and more items at our website, blufftonpubliclibrary.org. If you click on the catalog, there's a section devoted just to new materials, and we're happy to answer any of the questions that you have. Thanks. Have a good day.